Champions Mojo is part of the CG Sports Network.
Welcome to the award-winning Champions Mojo, hosted by two world record-holding athletes and health, life, and leadership coaches. Be inspired as you listen to Conversations with Champions. And now, your hosts, Kelly Pallas and Maria Parker.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Champions Mojo podcast. And as usual, I am co-hosting with Maria Parker. Hello, my beautiful Maria.
Hello, my beautiful sister, Kelly.
Oh, Maria, this is our 100th episode of Champions Mojo. Yay! We're doing our happy dance. So we thought this was a great milestone to talk about why celebrating one's accomplishments is so important.
That's right, Kelly. We're almost at the 2-year mark of our podcast, and we've had many great conversations with champions, including over 30 Olympic champions and or world champions, dozens of Olympic or national team coaches, and some really informative and inspirational interviews with celebrity-level authors, doctors, journalists, and everyday heroes.
Yes, Maria. Celebrating is really important. We're gonna get into 8 specific reasons why celebrating your success is just a great idea. And we're not talking about common celebrations. We're not talking about birthdays and holidays and anniversaries. I think as a society, we're all pretty good at that. But we're talking about celebrations of accomplishments, small or large, in everyday life or business that can make us more productive and more happy. Right. So let's jump right into the 8 of incorporating these celebrations into our life. I'm going to start with number 1 because celebrating like as the end goal, as the end game, as the visualization, like a visual cue to what you're going to do once you accomplish. And this is more, we're going to talk big and small goals, but these are like big goals. So when you have that idea, think of the end zone dance when somebody wins the Super Bowl, or the Indy 500 when they drink the milk and they spill it on the race car drivers, or the Kentucky Derby where it's the run for the roses and they lay the horses, they cover them with roses. So as a swim coach, I think of the swim coaches that get thrown into the pool and their whole team jumps in with their clothes on in the deep end when your team wins the conference title or the NCAAs. And so that is the type of celebration that I think you can put in your mind and see and think, wow, when I do all this hard stuff, I'm going to get that. Now, it doesn't always have to be that big. This first one we're talking about is big, but so that's for me. It could be something smaller, like you start an exercise program, and then you and I are both coffee lovers, and I found this new coffee. It's a bag in the grocery store. It's $12 as opposed to my normal $6 bag of coffee, but that might be something that I would reward myself and celebrate. Okay, I'm going to look forward to having that really great, Swiss water, decaffeinated coffee that's organic that costs twice my normal amount. So it can be something small, but you do have to celebrate it. So Maria, what celebrations do you visualize for accomplishing something?
Well, in cycling, we often at the end of an event, we'll lift our bike up over our heads, especially these ultra endurance events. I usually don't have the strength. Usually Jim lifts it behind me, but we get that picture. And what's important about this is when you're training for something really hard, or you've got a long, hard goal, imagining yourself in that celebration moment, standing on the pedestal, for ultra events, you often get an interview with the race director because, people finish at different times. So imagining yourself, talking about your event, imagining yourself, with, going under the finish line, imagining the joy. I use those all the way through my long, difficult training sessions. And if I'm having a hard time, during a training session and I think about, that's the, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be at the finish. I'm going to be having that beautiful picture with the bike over my head. It's going to be great. So I think having the visual, as you say, of the celebration that you're going to have when you do what it is that you want to do is really important.
Yes, that's such a great idea about being interviewed by the race director, because I know we have a lot of swimmers that listen, and when you win an event, they put the headphones on you and you talk to the broadcast booth. Right. So Very cool. So you've got number
Yeah.
one is celebrating with a big, vision. Number two, you've got for us, Maria. What is that one?
Well, celebrating helps you remember your strength. It helps us all remember what we did. It helps with the pile. I always talk about the pile, looking back at the pile. I think people who are really ambitious and disciplined, we forget to look back at our pile and to think about what we've gained, what we've done, and get encouraged by that. Because you can get in the zone and work and get really worn out and discouraged and tired. And it's so important to look back and celebrate even small victories. Well, I got through today's workout. I didn't feel like it, but it was really hard. I remember when I was in counseling school and I was working with another counselor, and we were just really, just overwhelmed with stress. And so we sat down, we had a cup of coffee, and we talked about all the things that we had accomplished in the last 6 months. And it was, we walked out of that meeting just ready to go and ready to hit the next, stressful 6 months. So I think it helps us remember what we've done. Lewis Pugh called it stacking. When you can stack one accomplishment on the other. If you don't remember your stack, if you haven't looked at your pile lately, you don't have that benefit.
Yes, Maria, that the pile, this is how we talk about overcoming obstacles, which is something, that we hope this podcast has helped so many people with, because we talk about our obstacles all the time. And I told you I took this fantastic course at the end. I took it in December. It was the Personal Accelerator course. And on December 22nd, we took the 4-hour workshop, and we had to write down what did you accomplish in 2020? And I was really stunned that kind of, if I hadn't looked back at the year, I would have thought, oh, 2020, what a loss. Let's just wipe that year out. But I was really stunned that I had really accomplished a lot, and it was my pile, but I didn't celebrate it. And I think I didn't celebrate a lot of things that enough. And so it's so important, because I think I would have remembered those things and they would help me in the future. So
I would add a tip on that is get somebody to help you, because you often do this with me. You say, oh, Maria, my gosh, you've done this and this and this and this. And I am so head down that I don't see it. So find your Kelly Palace to help you look and see. And I try to do this for my kids, if they get overwhelmed, or, for other people. It's great to have somebody else help you with that.
Great point, Maria. Great point.
So you got number 3.
Building on these, celebrating with a visual cue at the end. Number 2, celebrating helps us remember our strengths. And I'm going to say number 3, celebrating relieves stress. I mean, this is so massively important, because, and I'm going to go back to the analogy of jumping in the pool at the end of a meet. So the end of a 5-day swim meet or a 4-day swim meet, it is so stressful. You're wound up tight. You can't really release because you've got to stay focused. One of my favorite quotes of all of the interviews that we've ever had was Ryan Murphy, multiple Olympic champion, who says he doesn't get too high and he doesn't get too low. So staying on an even keel is important. And sometimes that can build up stress when you can't cry and you can't scream, wow, I just did that. So I think it really relieves stress when you jump in that pool with your clothes on and say, I did it. Or, you celebrate in some way that relieves your stress. Maybe you get a massage, you say, hey, if I do 6 weeks of this new training program, then I'm going to go get a massage. So it's really celebrating, totally relieves stress. It's the opportunity to release stress in a way that is going to be beneficial to our goals. So
right. And it helps you keep going. I mean, I think this is something I think about a lot. A lot of big things take a long time to accomplish. And so, and I've talked about this a lot about my Race Across America, but I use it in almost everything. So if the harder the goal, the more frequently you need to celebrate, right? We talk about kind of little chunks, but what happens is if you set a mini goal and you achieve that little celebration that you have, it releases some serotonin or something. And it's like what you're talking about. It relieves stress. So it's really important to set these mini goals and then experience the joy of accomplishment that gives you the courage to keep on moving. So absolutely right. The stress release of celebrating, especially mid big goal achieving.
Yes.
Gives you the strength to continue going. I love that. I think that's a great one.
Yeah, even like dancing in the living room, we just did our little happy dance for our 100, but it's really, really awesome. So Maria, you've got number 4, which was specifically, you love reflection, right?
I tend to just move. And reflection, one of my goals for this year was to be more reflective. And I think actually I've succeeded in that somewhat. But anyway, the number 4 is celebrating allows reflection. When you celebrate, you have to think about what you did. And when you think about what you did, then you can say, oh, that was really great. Celebrating should be thinking about the positive things you did. But when you're in that state, you can also go, next time I'm going to, maybe do it a little bit differently. It allows you to think about your life, what you've done, and then move forward in possibly a new direction. So reflection is a really important aspect of celebration. I call it getting in touch with my mystical side, because I'm so black and white. And so I'm so, just get it done, be disciplined.
I love it.
And so this year, it's been a slow burn, but this year I've really tried to, just get in touch with, the reflection. What does God have for me? What is the world showing me? What are the paradoxes? Anyway, getting in touch with my mystical side.
I love it. Yeah. So celebrating allows reflection. You can say, boy, I did that good, but it also or I did that well. And then it also allows you to say, but maybe, I could do this better.
Yeah. So and also, like, why did I do this? Am I doing this? Is this the thing I should be doing? It's beautiful.
Yes. It is. So just stacking these as you listen, celebrating with a visual cue at the end, celebrating our strengths, celebrating to relieve stress, celebrating allows reflection. And then number 5 is celebration inspires motivation.
Right. Which is
so, so you did this. So we did 100, we did 100 episodes of the podcast. So we can do 200, it's kind of like, it makes
True.
you, it gives you more motivation knowing that something good is on the horizon, and we don't even have to wait till we get to 100. I know when we very first started the podcast, Brant and Katie are our producers and our audio engineers, and we just, we love them and they do so much for us. When we first started, every 10 episodes, we would give them a Starbucks gift card. So, a little, $25 so that they could just go. I knew then, I don't think they do in the pandemic, but I knew they worked from Starbucks, and you and I were like, let's just give them something little to say, congratulations at number 10. So it doesn't have to be huge, but it kind of inspires the motivation to go forward. And, it shows you why you're pursuing the goal in the first place and keeps you focused on that purpose and vision.
Yeah. I can't even add anything to that. It's really, so it is motivational to celebrate, because for all the reasons that we've already talked about, because it reduces stress, because, you're thoughtful about it. But yeah. And when you look back and celebrate what you've done, you're like you said, if we've done 100, my goodness, we can do 500.
Yeah. All right. So number 6, Maria.
Celebrating builds momentum, which is sort of related. Going from task to task, like I do, and being ruled by my to-do list, like I do, like I am, and like we are, and feeling like I gotta produce. That can be really, really frustrating. So celebrating is really a break from that, right? It gets you out of that head down. I know, Kelly, you and I are very similar in this way. We're ambitious. We want to achieve. We want to be the best. We want to get to our goal. And that can be a little bit of a dig. And, digging takes you down. Celebrating brings you up. It's popping out and going, things are pretty good.
Right.
So,
yes.
It builds momentum. It reminds you that, that there's steps, that there's small steps. Each, victory is a victory.
Yeah, that's a good one. It definitely takes you from that that head down to-do list where you just like, okay, you're not even celebrating checking off the to-do list, but let's say you do have 10 items on your to-do list that day and you get them all, then you deserve a little celebration. So I love that one.
Do you have an example of that? I was just thinking about, I use a little app called Google Keep.
Yeah.
Which has lists. And then when you check them off, you know, I have in mind so that that a line just goes through it, but I can still see it. And so, I mean, I'm working on a Google Keep list now that's probably 300 things long.
Oh, that's crazy.
But I mean, it's been working on it for weeks. You know, I mean, it's the point is that it's you know, I look back and go, yeah. You know, looking at those lines through is a mini celebration for me. Anytime I check something off, it's a mini celebration.
I can give a small example. So, you know, you have 300 items on your to-do list. I probably have, you know, I don't keep it right on my Google Keep, but I often will send myself just emails. So they're stacked up in the morning, like all emails for myself. So I'll look down my email list and it'll be, you know, do this for this group that I'm working with and send that and refund that and, you know, do this. And so I have a long list. And what I will do to kind of celebrate that is I don't like sitting in my chair. Nobody likes sitting for long periods of time. So I will set, you know, I'll talk to my Google Mini, and I don't want to tell her, hey, G in the back, because she's going to start talking to me. But I will say, give me a 30-minute timer. And then when that 30 minutes, I will get as much done as I can. And when that 30-minute comes, I will literally walk out into the sunshine and throw my arms up in the air and stretch. And so it's a little physical mini celebration. That's great. I think that will help, you know, that helps build my momentum, because instead of just like looking, oh, I've got 25 emails that each email might take, you know, some good time. So that's number 6. So before I get to number 7, just again, number 1 is celebrating with a visual cue at the end, celebrating by remembering our strength, celebrating to relieve stress, celebrating to reflect, celebrating to inspire motivation, celebrating to build momentum. And number 7, celebrating recognizes positives in our lives. This may be my favorite one, because there's so much negativity in the world. I don't know where, I think I heard from Conant Nightingale, maybe like all the positive seeds of greatness that I listened to back when I was in high school. But one of the things that I always remember hearing is, don't tell people about your health unless it's good. Like, just don't, when you meet somebody, don't tell them something negative. But the news is negative. Our self-talk can be negative. There's just a lot of negativity in the world. And somehow we're kind of drawn to negativity. So taking the time to celebrate is positive. It's just, it's just something good in the world. And certainly, as opposed to, you know, if I get done doing a day and I go see my husband, Mark, and I say, honey, I just accomplished everything on my to-do list, it's so much more joyful and happy for him than I go in and say, well, you know, I couldn't get a hold of the bank, so you got to do it, you know? So it's like, it's just a way to put positives in our life. So I really, really love that one.
I do too, Kelly. I'm really glad you brought that up, because it's, you know, it's the gratitude thing. And sometimes it's hard to, I mean, it's a discipline. And I do just what you described with you and Mark. You know, I'm like, at the end of the day or whatever, I'll say, I didn't get this done and I didn't get that done. Instead of talking about all the things that I was actually able to accomplish, you know, of course, that's going to change every cell in your body if you're reflecting on what you've actually done. And Jim is so much better than I at that. You know, he loves to rehearse and remember the good, particularly the good that he accomplishes. He started a new weight training program, and he is just like, he's getting so strong and he's feeling so good. And, you know, he's just like,
V-shred. I've already heard about it.
Exactly. free little ad there for V-shred, but so he's a good, for me, a good example of how to do that. That's a really good one, and one I certainly need to work on. And I have the last one, which is, I love this. Celebrating shows appreciation and acceptance. This is so beautiful. We think sometimes that we somehow have done everything by ourselves, and everything we accomplish, we have someone to thank for it, whether it's, our parents or our spouse or our teammates. And, I do, in athletics, I do a lot of individual um, events. These ultra things are events, but there's just no way you can do them without a team, and the team doesn't get any credit at all. So I love that when you celebrate, remembering how you got here, who brought you here, who stood beside you, who is the wind beneath your wings, who, my mother, my father, you, Jim, all the background. Celebrating helps you to remember all the people who helped you to get here. And we have a great team here at Champions Mojo. Kelly, I know you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So a couple of things on this one, Maria. I love this one for two reasons. One, you need to, again, when you're thinking end game, when you've got a huge goal, think about who is going to be at that victory celebration with you.
That's great.
Who's going to walk across the stage with you? If you're winning the Academy Award or something, or you're going to be, on deck, who are you going to hug after that? You're going to hug your coach and your
thank you
teammate.
Speech, right?
Yeah. Who are you going to who's going to be that team? So I like that both for the end visualization, like who am I celebrating with? Definitely. And then from like a leadership perspective, I love that when you recognize others, that they are so, it's just a way to show your appreciation for them, and certainly get them motivated for the next project if you're going to be working with them again. And then this is, I'm sure Katie and Brant are listening because they edit and do all of our stuff for our podcast. So we were talking about one of the things, how we're going to celebrate our 100. And we have a gift for Katie and Brant for our 100th episode, that you are getting ready to come to Florida right now. You're in Massachusetts. I'm in Florida, but you're going to be coming to Florida. And then we're going to drop this gift by to Katie and Brant. So we want to show our appreciation for them and what, doing 100
Thank you,
episodes
Katie
for us.
and Brant.
Yes, we just love
and
you.
Team
and
at
you guys
CG
are awesome.
Sports. Yay.
And CG Sports team, which is a little bit newer. I think they came in at our, Katie and Brant's there from
from
episode
the very
1.
first episode.
Yeah. So,
and they've been so great. They've been so great.
So
but
great,
yeah,
so
also,
great.
if we're
and they're
thanking
Cabra
people,
Media.
Cabra
Media.
But our husbands have allowed us to do this, have supported us
Yeah.
financially, to be able to do this in the time that it takes, and also people at my work who allowed me the time to get away and do this. There's just so many. I love this one because it also keeps you from navel gazing. This is not about you. That's, it helps you to remember that, you got to this point because of all the wonderful people who helped you.
Wonderful. So Maria, it is time for our takeaways from this episode.
Yay. Woohoo.
Yay. It's now time for the takeaways. Maria, you and I have heard the takeaways are the best part of the show.
That's right, Kelly, because the takeaways are curated information, which is what we give to our clients when we coach them.
If you would like to take your performance to the next level in health, life, or leadership, go to our website and schedule your free 30-minute consultation.
Yes, just click on our coaching page and book there. We're looking forward to bringing out the champion in you.
And now, the takeaways. For the takeaway section, I do want to just say that these are the 8, and then let's just each pick one that we're really going to go. And there are multiples, but you can go first, and then I'll take one that you don't take, because there are plenty here that I could do. But so the 8 from this show for celebrating, and the 8 reasons you need to celebrate your success is, it gives you that visual cue at the end of a huge goal. It helps us celebrate our strengths and remember that, so we can gain encouragement, and it gives us that pile to go over obstacles. It relieves stress, which is just so important. It allows us to reflect and not just get better, but also be a little critical for how we can improve in the future. It inspires motivation so that we can, keep going for our next goal. It builds momentum, so we're not just head down on our to-do list. It's recognizing the positives in our lives when there's so much negative, it's just like gratitude. And then the last one, which is showing appreciation and acceptance of other people that helped us, and also how we just celebrate to pause and the contributions that a team makes. So kind of in summary, this whole show, that celebration should be part of our lives. It actually does. And you use this word, and I had already kind of put it in the summary, as it requires discipline.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to plan it. It's not like,
well,
it's
if it
just
doesn't require
happen.
discipline, I'm not doing it.
I know. Yeah, exactly. That's great. So the benefits are far going to outweigh the inconveniences, and it's really going to help take you to the next level of success. So Maria, what is your takeaway that's really stuck out on this list for you that you're going to do? What's going to change your life?
I think remembering to be positive about the day-to-day small wins, particularly with my husband, to not complain about what I didn't do or what didn't go right or what my frustrations are, but to celebrate daily the little wins and focus on those, which is like a gratitude thing. But I think, I often talk about what I did during the day. I just want to turn that. I think a major takeaway for me is to turn that daily conversation that I have with myself and the people closest to me into something really positive. Of course I'm going to say what didn't go well, but I'm going to maximize what did go well and recognize, the positive. I think it'll be good for me, and it'll also improve my relationships with my closest loved ones. What about you, Kelly?
So that's number 7, celebrating recognizes the positives in our lives, because there's this negative self-talk, just being negative. And I'm going to go with number 3, which is relieving stress. Celebrating really relieves stress. And as somebody who's suffered on and off with anxiety and depression, stress is with anything. Stress is a silent killer. It's bad for cardiovascular disease. It's bad for anxiety. It's bad for anything. It's bad for your skin. So I really do think that will be a motivating factor for me to celebrate. And like I said, even the small things where I have, if I have 30 items on my to-do list and I get 20 of them done, then I'm going to get up and I'm going to take a walk around the block and enjoy the sunshine, or I'm going to treat myself to, like I said, my favorite bag of coffee that I normally wouldn't buy at the grocery store. But I'm going to really relieve stress by celebrating and knowing that those endorphins are going to, the chemicals, the endorphins, all the good flowing that we get from celebrating. So I'm going to do it to relieve stress.
I like it.
That's my takeaway.
That's great. Are you going to have a minimum number of times to celebrate a day, or are you just going to take it as it comes?
I think that's a great question. And I think we know when we've reached, I think that's a really self modulating thing where you just know, you've got to be aware, hey, I'm kind of pushing the brink here of what my endurance is and my strength. And, I need to celebrate. I need to celebrate what I've done. So
that's great. I think that's that goes along with listen to yourself. And I have a little story last night. I'm packing for this long trip to Florida, and I had all these stuff that I was going to pile into the car. And I thought, I'm just looking at myself. I'm not ready. I'm just too tired to do that. I think I'll go relax and have my cup of tea instead. So I think that's great.
Yeah, you do need to listen. I have a little story too that I was actually going to tell in the main podcast, but the takeaways are a great place to tell it too. So, we live in a neighborhood where there's one common mailbox that you have to walk to get your mail. And so this morning I went out to get my mail, and we have a beautiful, sweet neighbor. Her name is Louise, and she's 85 years old. And so we happened to be there at the same time. And I said, "Good morning, Louise. And how are you?" And she says, "Oh, I'm going to have to get a shot in my eye today." Oof. And of course, me, I'm like, "Oh, Louise." And so, she's got a condition that she does. She says, "I have to do it once a month." And so I literally said to her, "Do you do anything to reward yourself after you've done that?"
Yeah, and you definitely need a reward after that.
Yeah. So I think, and it's also kind of stress relieving. Yeah. So she was already this morning thinking about what she had to do with the shot. And, if she could put in a celebration at the end, then that's going to relieve stress for her. It's not just the to-do list, but it's also getting yourself through things
Yeah.
that you don't want to do, and then
Right.
saying, you know what, I did that. Like
Yeah.
a hard workout, like
Yeah.
a really, like I did that. So,
Yeah. Beautiful.
so anyway, those are the takeaways. And Maria, you need to pack and get on the road
I
down
do.
to Florida, right?
I do. I will see you in a couple of days. I can't wait.
Okay.
Love you, Kelly.
Love you too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Champions Mojo podcast with host Kelly Palace and Maria Parker. Champions Mojo is produced by Cabra Media, and a new episode debuts every Tuesday. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. Follow Champions Mojo on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook @Champions Mojo.